to make some lemon verbena and raspberry sponge cake. And that's because at the moment raspberries are in season and lemon verbena is looking beautiful. Lemon verbena is a lovely herb, very fragrant, and it grows really well through the summer. So that's what we're going to use. So we're going to use raspberries, lemon verbena. The other ingredients are butter, we need a lemon, we need 2 free-range eggs, we need some baking powder, caster sugar, self-raising flour, and I think that's it. So we'll make a start. First thing we're going to do is to preheat the oven, and we've done that. It's 160 degrees centigrade for a fan oven, 180 for a non-fan oven, and gas mark 4 if you're on gas. And the next thing we have to do is to prepare a baking tin. It's just a £2 loaf tin, and you can buy these in any hardware store. And we've got some pre-cut, pre-made grease-proof liners, which are absolutely great. So you don't have to fiddle about trying to line a tin. So that's ready for the cake. So the next thing I'm going to do is prepare the lemon verbena sugar mixture. What I've done is just pick some lemon verbena. This is nice and clean. You can wash it if it's been outside, but mine's been in the polytunnel, so it's been protected from birds and things. So we need about 6 or 8 of these leaves. And the ones at the top of the branch are always the freshest and most tender because they are newest. Okay, so I've put quite a nice little handful in there. And then what we're going to do is just put in a teaspoon of caster sugar in there with the leaves. The caster sugar is coarse and it's going to help you to break up the lemon verbena with the pestle. Okay, so if you don't put the sugar in, it tends to sort of fly around and not be as easy to grind. It takes a minute or two, and you can see now that it's starting to make a sort of green paste in there. Okay. If the leaves are too old and too dry, you tend to get lots and lots of sort of hairy bits from the centre of the leaves. So we want to avoid that by using the more tender leaves. Okay, so that's ready. Then what we're going to do is, just as you would do with a normal sponge cake, we're going to weigh out the butter, and using some scales here, put the scale on, and we need 100 grams of softened butter. That's just slightly over. Perfect. 100 grams of the butter then, mixed with 100 grams of caster sugar, which I've weighed out earlier. And then if you've got an electric mixer, you could use the electric mixer at this point, but I don't want to make lots of noise while I'm demonstrating to you, so I'm just going to use a hand mixer and just cream together the butter and the caster sugar. On the recipe it actually says golden caster sugar, but I didn't have any in, so I'm just using normal white caster sugar for this recipe. Okay, so you could use the whisk or you could use a wooden spoon, it's up to you really. This is nice soft butter, it's a spreadable butter, so it's tending to come together quite well to cream. If you've got harder block butter, it might be an idea to use a wooden spoon. Okay. And then into that I'm going to crack 2 eggs. And I really would suggest that free-range eggs are best. We're very lucky we have our own hens, and so these are our own eggs. just give those a little whizzle before I add them. A little bit at a time, so it doesn't curdle too much. I'm to come and have a look in the mix. And into that, I'm just going to sprinkle in some self-raising flour and the baking powder. It's just half a teaspoon of baking powder that I need. I'll just put a little bit in now, sieve it in, just add a little bit more air if you're sieving it in. This is Carr's self-raising flour, which is local, of course. I like to use local ingredients as much as possible. And when you put the flour in, just use a metal spoon just to fold the flour in so that you keep the air in there. Okay, the next ingredient I'm going to add is lemon. I'm just going to grate some lemon straight into the bowl, and I'm using the fine grater, not the thick grater. If you use a thick grater, it tends to give you lots of big lumps of lemon, which I don't like. And this is just taking the zest off. This is an unwaxed lemon. It's best to use unwaxed lemons for this job because you're using the rind, the zest rather, so we don't want lots of wax in our cake, do we? Okay, so that's about the full lemon in there, and then we'll just add the rest of that egg. And then some more flour. And fold that in again. And then just at this point I want to add a handful of raspberries, these beautiful raspberries from the garden. As I say, they're in season at the moment, and even if you haven't got them in your garden, you can get local raspberries, or certainly British raspberries. They're all over the place at the moment, and they're not such a bad price, sort of July really till September. So there's quite a bit of strawberries around. The soft fruit is coming from Kent and from the south coast, and also from Scotland, of course, because traditionally raspberries are grown in Scotland a lot. So we're going to just add the paste now, the lemon verbena paste from the mortar. Okay, so you'll see that that's really, really green. I'm just going to knock any off there that we can, and the rest is in here. You might not think this is very much, but it does make a difference. So you can see it's about a teaspoonful that we're putting in. And once we get it in, it just makes the mix slightly green. And just mix that in. Try and incorporate it right through the mixture. You see the green bits there? And the raspberries are breaking up a little bit as well, which is nice. So we'll get our tin. And then we're just going to spoon the mixture into into the tin. No need to grease. And equally, these can be made into little cakes as well, so you could make them into little sort of fairy cakes, which would be nice. The smell of lemon verbena is quite unbelievable. It's very, very fragrant and very strong. Lemon verbena can be used in lots of things. You can make a hot drink with it, a lemon verbena tea, or you could put it in a cocktail. I've actually made a cordial with it, which is very nice. Let's get a spatula. The cordial is really lovely, and that can be added to things like gin cocktails. It can be, what you do is you add the leaves to some water and some sugar and just sort of simmer it until it goes a little bit syrupy, and then cool it and put it in the fridge, and it lasts for several months in the fridge, and you can just add it to your gin cocktails. So that's really nice. Okay, so that's ready to go in the oven now, 160 for a fan oven. And that will be in there for about 25 minutes. The lemon verbena cake has just come out the oven. It's still quite hot. So what I'm going to do is just put a few skewer holes in it. To allow the drizzle to go into it. And I've got a couple of tablespoons of icing sugar here, which I'm going to stick into a jug. It's important to sieve it because we don't want lumps on top of the cake, and that does happen if you don't sieve it. And then into that we're going to add the juice of, I'll just put it into this bowl, the juice of a lemon, and I'll just squeeze it into this bowl to start off with, and we don't get the pips into the main bowl. And this little wooden device is fantastic for squeezing lemons. I like it better than a traditional table one. Okay, we get all our juice out, and then I'm just going to sieve that so that those pips don't go in. And then what we need to do is just give it a stir around. And you can see that the icing and the lemon juice will mix together. And then this is going to go on top of the lemon verbena and raspberry cake. And you're just going to pour it over to make a really nice gooey cake. Which will be delicious. And when we cut that, the raspberries should be rippled through it, and there should be a nice green texture to it, nice green sort of marbling to it, and it will be delicious, really lemony and very nice raspberry flavour too. Raspberry and lemon verbena go so nicely together.